Welcome in to the Punt and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside by my co-host, Jake be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Punt and Pass on X and Instagram. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at From Jake. Puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football. Man, we've got so much to get to in this episode. Georgia whoops up on Texas once again. Are the Dawgs the best team in college football? Potentially so much to break down. Jake Fromm, of course, was there. Coaching carousel news, updated rankings. College football is going crazy. But first things first, Jake Fromm, you're back, and it sounds like you have a new addition to the family. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Glad to be back on. I feel like I've been on an off week, on a hiatus, but yeah, man, we invited our little man to the world last Tuesday night. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me and letting me take a game off. But
Sure.
man, back and trying to figure out the whole new scenario
Yep.
and the way we do things in our house, man. So, but it's been awesome. Colt's here, and man, we are very blessed to have a healthy baby and a healthy mama.
Congratulations, man. Great to hear that Caroline's doing great and that Colt is healthy. That is fantastic. Everybody's very happy for you. I know I've had some people reaching out to me who listen to the podcast asking. I didn't want to ruin it last week. I knew when Davin filled in, you had already had the baby. I didn't want to make an announcement. I know how the wives get, so I had to keep my lips shut. But congratulations, man. That's so awesome. It's
Thanks, man.
It's been a long time coming, man. I feel like she's been pregnant forever.
I do too. But man, she was a trooper. I mean, Colt even came, a couple days late, and she was like, "Man, I'm still good. I feel good." And we're like, you know what? Let's go pull the plug on this and let's get him out. So we got him out, and here we are.
That's so awesome. And then you worked over the weekend. You got right back into the fold. You were at the Georgia-Texas game. You worked pre and post game. I, of course, was not there. I was at my sister-in-law's wedding, which was an absolute blast. We partied down. We celebrated all weekend. The ceremony was beautiful. And then, the after party kind of turned into the Georgia watch party later into the evening. But by that time, Jake, the game was over. The Dawgs looked incredible. First things first, what was the scene like? Just the atmosphere, because I talked to my dad on Sunday morning. He was like, dude, it was incredible. Maybe one of the best.
Yeah, no, man, it was absolutely awesome. Fireworks. I think whatever they did or didn't do in the Alabama game, whatever they learned from, they kind of, reformulated it and did it in this game. It was a ton of people there. I thought it was cool. Got to meet Kistner, Brian Harmon, and Harry English there on the sideline. Talk a little golf there. Nice. So that was real cool and real fun. But man, a lot of cool people there, and obviously it's even better when the Dawgs handle and take care of business like we wanted them to. And but yeah, man, it was a really, really cool. It was loud. It was like loud early and then all the way through. There wasn't any kind of peaks and valleys in it. Seemed like the fan base was pretty into this game the entire time.
Yeah, how could they not be? I mean, the weather was spectacular. It was Texas's first ever visit to Athens. The stars were out. McConaughey, Peyton Manning, Quavo, Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, all the PGA Tour golfers. I mean, it was a scene, and Georgia took care of business, which, of course, is the most important thing. And, man, Kirby is like on a mission from – I don't even know where, but he is on one. We'll get to that in just a little bit. We'll, of course, recap the game. Jake was there. He'll tell you what went down. And this coaching news, put your seatbelt on. I've got some updates for you. It's getting crazy out there in the college football streets. Hey, this episode of Punt and Pass presented to you by our awesome partners over at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. That's right. 3 amazing locations for you to choose from. The OG is in Buckhead, 17th floor Tower Place. If you're on the north side, head on over to their Alpharetta location, which is just past the Avalon, and their newest location, south of the city in Sharpsburg. The holidays are here. Go to Solomon Brothers Jewelers. It does not matter what your price point is. They have everything that you need. Diamonds, jewelry, accessories, engagement rings, watches for the men. Walk in, tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. Walk in, tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. I'll keep hollering at them. See what they can add in a little extra as the holidays get nearer and nearer. But check them out, SolomonBrothers.com and at Solomon Brothers on social media. Today's episode of Punt Pass is also brought to you by Humberto Injury Law. If you've been hurt in an accident and need a team that fights for you like we fight on the field, Humberto Injury Law is here for you. Humberto and his team know what it takes to win, and they'll stand by your side every step of the way. Visit HumbertoInjuryLaw.com or call them 770-888-8901. 770-888-8901. HumbertoInjuryLaw.com to learn more. Yeah, man, it looked electric. Georgia took care of business. You know, it's funny, Jay, on those types of SEC weekends, when you can see things starting to get crazy, like at noon when South Carolina's up 30-3, and then Texas A&M comes storming back and wins, and then at 3:30 when Alabama's turning the ball over, missing field goals, and they get upset, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen at 7:30? And it did not matter to Georgia. It was another complete game. They look really, really good. And can I just brag on one thing real quick? Can you allow me to brag for 1 second?
Absolutely. I'm waiting. Go for it.
Who has been beating the Gunnar Stockton Heisman drum for about 5 weeks now?
That's you and us.
Thank you. We have
and us.
We have been on this podcast.
We're
saying,
trying.
People, pick up what we're putting down. This thing is legit. And if he beats Texas and plays well, and if they play well against Georgia Tech, he is going to be in the conversation. After Saturday night, Jake, I think Gunnar Stockton is playing his way to a New York City Heisman Trophy invitation.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think this season, especially this season, because there is no clear-cut favorite to win the Heisman Trophy this year, I think you can take about 5, 6, 7 guys and make a case and make a strong case for those guys. And Gunnar, to me, being one of them, should at least get a seat in New York and get to have that experience and even have his chance to win the Heisman Trophy because he is balling his heart out right now. He's doing it in the air. He's doing it with his legs. And I think he means a ton to this team and the way they are operating on offense. It's crazy. It's not normally when we watch Georgia football, we say the offense is kind of the catalyst for this football team. But, man, the catalyst for this 2025 Bulldog team is the offense. And I will say, I don't want to take anything away from Gunnar and the high level that he's playing at, but I do not think Bobo has gotten near enough credit for what's going on offense this season, man. He is doing some really good things in the run game and the pass game, the way he's mixing things up, the way he's running plays off plays, like the 4th and 1 that we saw and the shift in motion. He's just doing a lot of cool and really good things, and he's dialing it up at times, and he just seems to be very, very aggressive. And I know Gunnar and Bobo are very complimentary of each other, and they go hand in hand. And to me, it's just been a very fun couple to watch this fall.
Yeah, it really has been. You can just see them gelling more and more together as the season continues to progress. I want to brag on you. I have so much fun working with you, obviously, but when I get to watch football with you, whether it's inside Sanford Stadium on a Saturday or we're in the studio watching games, like I get to learn so much from you. I think I'm pretty smart. I mean, I would call myself a ball knower, but like pre-snap stuff, what the defense is showing, you're talking out loud. Hey, here's what I think they're going to do. Oftentimes you're right, but you bring a great perspective from that kind of Bobo mindset, like a coach's mindset, because you've seen so much football at both the NFL and the college football levels, and you nail it a lot of the times. It's just really cool to kind of see in real time how you are processing the information and then how it plays out on the field. And Gunnar is making a lot of the right decisions, and Kirby Smart talks about that. We'll get to that in just a second. Real quick, though, on the Heisman Trophy. I just looked up the actual definition. It says, quote, the Heisman Memorial Trophy is awarded annually to the top player in college football. It's considered the most prestigious award in the sport. Okay, so the question is now, what has the Heisman Trophy become? Is it simply the best player on the best team? Because we've seen that happen in years past. Is it the best quarterback on the best team? We've seen that happen in years past as well. If it's the most outstanding player, okay, this is where I think it gets interesting, because Diego Pavia, what he means to Vanderbilt, everything. Haynes King at Georgia Tech. If you took Haynes, look, I know Aaron Philo is good. If you take Haynes King off Georgia Tech this year, I'm not sure they have the record they have. If you take Diego Pavia off Vanderbilt, they might not even be bowl eligible. But Gunnar Stockton and his statistics, Jake, for one of the better teams in college football, some might say they're playing the best football in the country right now. He's in that conversation. You compare him with the front runners, Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, Julian Sayin at Ohio State. Look, Ohio State hasn't played anybody. They've played zero competition. Indiana, a couple games here and there. Mendoza's been balling. Marcel Reed at Texas A&M, yeah, he's putting together a pretty good resume as well. So I'll be interested to see how this kind of plays out over the next 2 weeks, who the front runners are to get that invitation. But I think Gunnar Stockton is going to be up there if he has a good performance against Georgia Tech. I really do.
No, I do. He's got 2 great weeks to go do that, right? And this kind of cupcake week coming up, and then Georgia Tech when it's probably going to be a shootout.
Yeah,
Tech's defense not very good, and Faulkner and Tech and the way it was last year, just dialing up the Georgia defense. Like this is probably going to be 2 shootout weeks back to back, and gives them a great opportunity. And what happens in the SEC championship game, I don't know, but if they do make it, then it'd be another opportunity to pad some stats.
I saw a really interesting scenario for an SEC championship tiebreaker. I'll try to find that. It was a tweet. I want to give proper credit to read it out loud. I'll give you that later on if I can find it. But let's focus in on the Georgia-Texas game real quick. I got some great clips from UGA Sports to play. The quote heard round the world post-game after Georgia just physically dominated Texas. You saw
is this already on a t-shirt? It has to be already on a t-shirt.
It has to already be on a t-shirt. I don't want to spoil it. Jared, just go ahead and roll it. Here's what Kirby Smart said after Georgia pounded Texas 35-10.
Yeah, it's the approach we take. We're gonna dominate and try to win the fourth quarter. It's what we do in practice. It's what we do in the off season. It's what we build our core culture around, is being the more physical team. And you have to recruit physical players, and they have to buy into that process. I don't know that a lot of these kids nowadays, they want to check. They don't want physicality. And if you have the check and no physicality, you end up with nothing. So we're not just getting checks at our place. We're hitting people.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And here's the thing, Jake. Kirby Smart has been pounding that drum for 4 years now, since the NIL era started. He's made it pretty clear that we're doing things different at Georgia. And of course, kids want to check. I want to check. Everybody wants a check. But where you really find the magic is when you get kids who do want to check and they're willing to go out and earn it. And they're willing to hit people, as Kirby said, and they're willing to be physical during the week, during practice, during fall camp, to set the standard within your program, which is exactly what Georgia has done. And Jake, it was on full display Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all these guys, they want money, but they don't want to buy in. They don't want to buy into programs and what you have to do to be a good football team, man. And the physicality is no joke, man. It's real. It's authentic. Obviously, it starts from the top down with Kirby. Bloody Tuesdays are for real. They're legit. And it gets down and dirty. Tuesday and Wednesday in week 1 of the season and all the way to week 11, 12, 13. So, and then after the SEC championship game, when you're doing your bowl practice prep, I mean, that's basically training camp all over again.
I know.
So, I mean, it's a differentiator and it's a difference maker, especially later in the season. You don't see it as much maybe in college football, but especially in the NFL, you see it when the weather starts getting cold, and it just feels different, and you have to be used to that kind of physicality and pushing through when it's just a little bit different, a little bit tougher out there.
You know, I just makes me think of my rookie year when I was with the Steelers. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens, it was Ed Reed. It was Haloti Ngata. It was Ray Lewis. I mean, and on the Steelers, we had James Harrison and Larry Foote and Troy Polamalu and Cam Hayward. Like, you went into those games knowing it was going to be a rock fight. Like, you knew that the physicality was going to be there. Guys were going to be flying around the field. It's one thing for the coaches to talk about it, Jake, and to set the standard. But when the players start to buy into it, and when the players understand, hey, if I'm going to Georgia, this is what it's going to be all about, that brings it to a whole nother level. Oscar Delp talked about it in the Monday press conference at Georgia. Oscar's a guy who's really stepped up to be more of a vocal leader on the offense. I feel like a great tight end. He was asked about Kirby's NIL comments. I'll call him that. And here is what a player on Georgia's team, Oscar Delp, had to say.
I mean, with the whole NIL era now, it's easy to leave and go ask for a ton more money at other places. And any guy in my class could have done that. And just to have those guys that really stuck through it all that are still here just shows how much they care about this program and what it means to them. And, it kind of starts with us pouring into the younger guys this offseason and just bringing them all along. Yeah, I mean, all those guys, they shared in the offseason like what it was like at their old programs, and none of them have said anything compares to what it's like here. And it's a brotherhood here, and it's special, and we truly care about each other on and off that field. And I think that's what kind of helps bring our game to the next level. All those young guys or those transfers that came in, they immediately were welcomed and they felt like they were at home. And I think that was a big thing. Just, welcome those guys into our program because they're part of this team now. And you asked me about Zach Branch right now. It feels like he's been playing here for 4 years with me. So, all those guys are super special, and, we care about them all just like we care about the dudes who've been here for 4 years.
That's a comment that I've heard often around Georgia football, call it the last 4 years since the NIL era has begun. With all the transfers, you always hear, Jake, and I want you to talk about this. When people come to Georgia, they're like, oh, wow, it's different here. It's different here. The culture is different here. How we practice is different here. The way things operate Monday through Saturday, it's just different at Georgia. And again, I credit Kirby and the entire staff and all of the football operations because they've laid out a blueprint, and it seems like guys like to buy in.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of two transfer wide receivers that I had, Javon Wims and Lawrence Cager. Both of those guys, coming in year 4, year 5 of their college career. And man, exactly. That's exactly what they said. Well, hey, it's different here. We grind here. But it definitely helped prepare them for their next, journey and in the NFL. Like without that experience, where would they be at? So, man, it definitely is different. And I do want to make a comment on the difference in like the two rosters. You talk about the physicality, but I think you also have to talk about the differences in the rosters, right? Texas having maybe, if not number one, but top 3 highest paid NIL rosters.
Right.
Objectively, when I'm standing on that sideline and I'm looking at these dudes run out on the field and play snap after snap, there's a difference between the Georgia offensive line and that Texas offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
There was a difference between the Georgia defensive line and the Texas defensive line. I'm just telling you, man, the dudes were better. They looked better. Whether or not they were faster, I don't know. Couldn't quite tell. But, man, they looked bigger and they looked better.
Texas's did.
No, Georgia's
did. Okay, there you go. I had to clarify that. Yeah, I like that.
I'm just telling you, man, the DBs, taller, longer, backers wasn't even close. Texas had that one guy, number one, who has all the sacks. But, man, nobody on the defensive line other than that, I mean, intimidating really in the least. So, man, he's still able to recruit even though, you're not the highest paid in the NIL realm, because he is able to get people to buy into the program and physicality being one of them.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So some would say, hey, Kirby was obviously fired up after the game. Would he kind of walk back those comments on the physicality and we want to hit people and kids just want to check? Well, he was asked again on Monday in his press conference, and here's what Kirby Smart had to say.
Kirby, how do you balance? You talked about after the game, guys wanting to check. You don't have guys that just want to check. You have guys that want to play physical. If you have really hard physical practices, how do you balance keeping a kid from saying, this is just too much, I'm ready to hit the portal, I'll go somewhere else where it's easier? But you still have to make them physical, so you have to kind of put them through that grind. How do you balance it?
We schedule them. The ones that want to leave, we schedule them. We try to get them on the schedule because when they want to leave because they're not physical, that means they're probably going to a place that's not physical. We like those places. We like to play them. We prefer them, actually, if you can get them on the schedule. So it's one of those deals that you don't run from hard in life. You run from hard in life, you'll find more hard.
Kirby dropping bars, dude.
He knew that was good, too.
Oh,
he knew
yeah.
that was good. He was trying to hold it back. He knew it was good.
So funny, dude. I mean, hey, you know what? He's right. He's like, look, if you want to leave our program because you think it's too hard and you go to a different program, let us know where you're going because we want to play you. We smell blood in the water. I just think it's fantastic. Again, why would you shy away from making comments like that, especially when your play on the field proves it to be the right approach? So I commend Kirby a bunch. I mean, it's so fun to hear him say that. And like I've always said this about Kirby Smart, Jake. When he says stuff like that, the fan base for Georgia like latches onto it and they start to like embody those comments as well, which to me is hilarious, but it brings together everybody. And man, he is making no bones about it. Like this Dawgs team is peaking at the right time. They want to drag you into the mud, and that's where they shine brightest.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I mean, I just think if, Dog Nation kind of rallying around all the different kind of mantras that, that Kirby presents, year in and year out. And man, because it's real, it's good, it's raw, it's authentic. People love it. People buy into it. I cannot believe that I've scrolled through Twitter and Instagram over the past, 2 days and have not seen a for sale sign for this shirt.
Yeah.
Right. With all these catchphrases on it. So because it's going to be good and somebody can make a lot of money by doing so.
No question about it. All right, one more clip I want to play. We also heard Kirby talking about the onside kick. I want to ask you about that in just a second, kind of get your final thoughts on the game since you were there. But now there's a conversation around what's going to happen with Georgia in the SEC championship game. Do they even want to play in the SEC championship game? It could be more penal in some ways than not playing in the SEC championship game, especially if they're a top 4 seed and they would get a month off of football. Here's what Kirby Smart said on Monday about if he wants to play in the SEC championship game.
Again, my objective is to win every game we play. So where does that put us? Puts us in that game, right? So there would be no way I would ever look at not playing in that game. We can't do that. We've got to look at the opportunity to go play and win a conference championship that has eluded more programs and has been as rare to win in some cases as a national championship. And that philosophically, I mean, I'm a kid that grew up in the SEC footwork and thinks that that's one of the key ingredients, most important games. To talk about the future and what it holds, I can't even speculate what that holds. And to talk about the way our coaches look at it, regardless of how they look at it, how are they going to perform on the field on Saturdays? They're going to go perform to win, which puts you in that game.
I love it. Hey, my objective is to win every game we play. And if we do that, we are in the SEC championship game. So I love it because he's on I'm almost speechless. He is just on an absolute mission right now to get everybody on the train because it's rolling down the tracks.
Yeah, he came in different after that bye week, I guess, before the Florida game, man. He's been locked in and he's been on one. But I think when it comes to this game, and it absolutely pains me to say it because I am such a big fan and big proponent of how important the SEC championship game is and what it means and how hard it is to win. But I do say if the goal is to win a national championship, I would say probably the best route and the best path to move forward in doing that would be missing out on the SEC championship game.
All right. So here are the scenarios. It comes from John Tweets Sports, a great follow. He's a Georgia fan, but he brings some great statistics as well. You got to follow me here because some of these scenarios are crazy. There is a scenario where if Bama beats Auburn and A&M, wait, that's not right. It's UGA versus Bama. If A&M beats Texas and Bama loses, it's Georgia versus Bama. Here's a crazy one. If Florida and Kentucky both win this week, it's Georgia versus A&M if Bama wins and A&M wins. And then if Florida and Kentucky win this week and Ole Miss beats Mississippi State and Alabama and A&M both lose, it's Georgia versus Ole Miss in the SEC championship game. Yes, it's crazy. I'm reading it right now.
Florida and Kentucky.
I don't know how this plays into it.
I thought if A&M and Bama went out, is their bowl to play in.
Well, here it is. He clarifies. If Florida beats Tennessee, Kentucky beats Vandy, and Ole Miss beats Mississippi State, Georgia is in the SEC championship game. Even if Bama beats Auburn and A&M beats Texas, it creates a three-way tie with Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss for second, and UGA is in because of conference opponent win percentage. So that's from John Tweet Sports. Go follow him on X. But there are some crazy scenarios to play out. The reason it's always fun to talk about this is because usually things play out the way they should. So who knows? I don't know. But you know what? Georgia's in a fine situation either way. Jake, would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, they're in a good situation, to say the least. I think they can win 2 out of the next 3 games.
Yeah,
and
be good to go,
and be in the college football playoff, and there you go. You have your shot. I mean, they can lose the Tech. I mean, the question is, can they lose the Tech and lose the SEC championship game and get into the college football playoff?
I don't know. I just don't see that happening. But yeah, that's
you don't
3 losses.
You don't see that happening. But like, are they going to punish you for playing in a conference championship game?
That's a great question, especially with the quality wins that they have.
With the quality wins that they have.
I totally agree.
Don't put it into the committee's hands,
no.
But we have to talk about that scenario as well. So
it is going to be crazy. Real quick, were you inside the stadium when the onside kick happened?
Dude, man, I'm so glad you asked, actually. No, I was not. We had to bounce, back to Creature to do the post-game show, and I get out, and I just hear the crowd just erupt.
A loud
like,
pop.
What's going on? Well, of course, now you can check, to my YouTube TV app because they fixed that the day before, Saturday and all the games.
Praise be.
And anyway, I got to watch Cash Jones catch an onside kick, and man, that was awesome. The kahunas on Kirby to call that in that situation, big time.
Perfect execution by Peyton Woodring, the kicker. Cash Jones, of course, made a great play on the ball as well. Rusty Manziel was on radio with us this morning, Jake. He said the word was that they tried or were thinking about doing it to open up the game.
The game.
Yes. Yeah. However, they saw the frontline guys on the right side for Texas bailing out early on tape, and they kept it for when it mattered most. And, man, that execution was absolutely perfect. Those things just completely changed the momentum in football games. So credit to everybody who was able to execute that at a high level. Hey, this episode of Punt and Pass presented to you by our awesome partners over at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Go check them out at one of their 3 amazing locations, Buckhead, Alpharetta, and Sharpsburg. Check them out online too, SolomonBrothers.com, at Solomon Brothers on social media. When you're in store for whatever you need, whatever price point you're at, they got you. Diamonds, jewelry, accessories, watches, anything you need to make the holidays the best. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. And every week we talk about the big hits in football. Off the field, Humberto Injury Law is the team that protects you when life hits hard. If you've been injured, Humberto and his team break down every detail and fight for the best result. Visit HumbertoInjuryLaw.com and let them go to work for you, or call them 770-888-8901. That's HumbertoInjuryLaw.com. All right, the coaching carousel, Jake, is getting crazy. Very crazy. Quick news that happened before we fired up this podcast on a Monday night. James Franklin's going to be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. So that is happening. They were working through some contractual details. I guess the offset language in his buyout clause with Penn State has been negotiated. Penn State will now only owe him $9 million instead of $49 million. So I'm guessing Virginia Tech picks up that tab, rolls it in to his new contract. We'll keep you up to date on what those details look like when it gets announced, probably later on this week. But Jake, the rumor is that the reason it hadn't happened yet is that James Franklin had his eyes on Florida State. So maybe that tells you Florida State will be holding on to Mike Norvell for one more season. But James Franklin, the new head coach at Virginia Tech. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. I guess I saw a fake report too on Twitter after Saturday, after South Carolina, kind of fumbled the bag on beating
Yeah.
A&M. That that maybe Beamer might be gone, and then I thought about Virginia Tech and. But yeah,
that
man,
whole domino effect.
The
Yeah,
whole
for sure.
the whole domino effect. It kind of starts with one or two guys at the top. Where do they land? And then the rest of the dominoes just kind of fall into place. But I don't know. It's still early. I don't know what the contract would say if something else maybe better opened up later, and him being flip flop. I don't know, but I do think it's a pretty good fit for him, and kind of staying geographically in the same area and knowing all the recruiting spots. So yeah, I mean, pretty good fit. It doesn't affect Georgia a whole lot.
No, that's right. That's right. I thought he might try to get his way back to the SEC. However, it could be a good fit. So James Franklin at Virginia Tech. You win 9 or 10 games a year at Virginia Tech, you're a legend. So I think that's a good move for him. But the bigger news is around Lane Kiffin. And why hasn't he signed an extension at Ole Miss? And why is he playing at Coy when he keeps getting asked about it after the games? They just beat Florida. Will he be at Florida next year? Well,
dude, they asked his son.
I know. They're all over it, dude. They're all over
crazy.
It.
Hey,
these media members are savages. They're savages, Jake.
Hey, that's where I draw the line, man. Don't ask his son where his daddy is going to go coach next. Come on, man.
We don't need to be doing that. We do not need to be doing that. However, the flight trackers are out. Reports are indicating that Lane Kiffin's family have been on the move over the weekend. Reportedly, they were in Gainesville, getting a tour of Gainesville with the athletic department at Florida on Sunday. And then today, pictures come out. That plane, probably a different plane, landed in Baton Rouge. And Lane Kiffin's family, and I think it was Lane Kiffin on the tarmac. I don't know. It was a guy who was dressed up in disguise. I don't know if Lane Kiffin is getting out of Dodge on a Monday when he's the head coach of Ole Miss, but his family was in Baton Rouge. So they're taking tours of Baton Rouge as well. What is Lane Kiffin going to do? More reports come out that Ole Miss is putting down an ultimatum and that Lane Kiffin must tell Ole Miss what his plans are before the Egg Bowl next Friday, because they need to decide if they are going to allow him to coach in the college football playoffs at Ole Miss. This is getting crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. Even Mississippi's Secretary of State was chiming off on Twitter. The head of their collective was chiming off on Twitter as well, like feeling bad that Lane Kiffin hasn't signed an extension or showed gratitude to Ole Miss, like he owes Ole Miss anything. I don't know, Jake, but it seems like this one's going for an ugly ending.
Dang, man, because it was setting up to be such a storybook ending, Lane Kiffin comes back and, rejuvenates Ole Miss into this SEC contender. They were going to go on a playoff run. It was going to be great. He was going to leave, and wave by, hand it off, in good hands. But I don't know, man. Nobody wants ugly endings. It just makes it nasty for everybody involved. Nobody wants that.
Ole Miss athletic director, this comes from Pete Nakos at On3. Ole Miss athletic director Keith Carter is seeking an answer from Kiffin about his future ahead of the Egg Bowl game next week. If Kiffin misses the deadline, sources have raised questions about what the ramifications could be. Could he coach Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl and even the college football playoff? Those questions are unanswered.
All right, let's just think about this for a second of how kind of dumb that sounds on a simplistic level of, hey, because my coach hasn't told me that he's leaving, I'm not going to let him coach the football team that I pay him millions of dollars a year to coach in a playoff game. How dumb does that sound?
I totally agree. Ryan Skates, a close buddy of mine, purveyor of the Poor Man's Game Notes. We were texting about it earlier, and this is what he said. And I haven't asked permission if I can read this, but I'm just going to read it anyway because Ryan's my buddy. Ryan says, Lane Kiffin should say he's staying and then let someone buy him out at the end of the season. Boosters at a competing school who want him would do it. He continues on to say, you can always leave if you tell people you have decided to stay, but you can't stay once you have told people you are leaving. That's true right there.
That's true.
That's 100% true. So I like his line of thinking there.
Yeah.
Like, just tell him you're staying and then be like, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm leaving. You know that could happen. You do it the other way around, that ain't going to play.
Yeah. No, you only have one option then.
Yeah.
You only have one option.
Just lie to him and then have somebody pay you out and buy you out after the fact. So I don't know what's going to happen, but like the Ole Miss athletic director getting involved and like putting ultimatums out when you still have 2 weeks of regular season football and potentially an SEC championship and college football playoff. Jake, to me, it's just kind of short-sighted and crazy.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's transparency back there. Obviously, there's not. But man, I don't know. I want to believe in this change Lane Kiffin and what Ole Miss has done and for him, for his family, and kind of where he's at. So I like this new and improved Lane Kiffin. I hope it's here to stay, and I hope that it doesn't kind of fall off the wagon a little bit because there's an ugly ending in Ole Miss.
I know. And believe me, it could get ugly if that's what happens. I hope not either, because it's been a feel-good story. They're playing good ball. So let's see what happens. But surely we will keep you up to date right here on Punt and Pass. All right, let's go around the SEC and college football real quick. A couple of updates to the top 25 or top 10. Georgia moves up to number 4 after Alabama got knocked off. Alabama is back to 10. Oklahoma moves up to the 8th spot after upsetting Alabama. Notre Dame settling in at the 9 seed. They look really good. They handled Pitt. There was no questions about that game. And your top 3 remain the same: Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M. Speaking of Texas A&M, just an incredible comeback. They were down 30-3 at halftime against South Carolina. Shane Beamer's running into the locker room, Jake, just going bananas. That turned out to age like milk being sat outside on a hot day. A&M blanks them in the second half. They win the game 31-30. Just really incredible all around.
No, I mean, I was getting prepped for the pregame show with Atlanta News First, and half of my material that I was going in hot before was about A&M absolutely shatting the bed against South Carolina at home with an 11 a.m. kickoff and just ruining, their situation. But man, they found a way to come back. It is just a good thing for Texas A&M. Is this a bad thing? I don't know, man. Like when you come together as a team at halftime and come back and win a football game like that, from a head coach perspective, I absolutely hate it for my team, but I'm proud as crap of my team for what they were able to accomplish with only 30 minutes on that clock.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, they showed a lot of grit, and they're still undefeated. And Shane Beamer, that's a tough one to come back from.
Man.
That is a tough one to come back from. And they've played good against some good teams. I mean, they gave Alabama a run. They should have beat Texas A&M. Just not happening this year for South Carolina when they had pretty high hopes with a good pass rush and Lenore Sellers. Okay, Oklahoma goes into Tuscaloosa, beats Alabama for the second season in a row. The Sooners take down the Tide 23-21. A couple of turnovers from Alabama, a missed field goal as well. Did you see the kicker for Alabama going crazy on his snapper for a high snap? Did you see this?
No.
So last week I'm watching the game, LSU, Alabama, some operational things happening with the field goal unit. The holder was putting the laces right in the kicker's face, not even trying to spin the laces. I think he missed one last week. A couple of them were really, really close. And the kicker was visibly upset with the holder, like berating him on the field. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Well, this past week, high snap, nothing crazy. Holder goes up, gets it. Great hold. Lace is perfect. This kid totally shanks it. Horrible mechanics. He shanks it left. It's not even close. He starts yelling at his long snapper. Yelling. Clear as day crazy. On the camera. And I'm like, dude, you cannot do that. So Connor Talty, just make the kick. It was like a 35-yard kick. Just make the kick, buddy. We've all been there. It's an operation. Snapper, holder, kicker.
Dude,
holder picked up for your snapper. You got to pick up for your snapper as well and knock it through. That's your fault, not the snapper's fault.
Dude, Oklahoma beat Alabama on the road, and they only had 12 first downs, 3 of 13 on third down. They 2 sacks allowed. They punted the ball 6 times. I mean, and 212 total yards of offense. How they beat Alabama is because Alabama absolutely shot both of their feet off.
Yeah, they really did. Did you see some girl who works for Alabama? All the Oklahoma players were standing on the logo at midfield after the game.
Yeah.
And she had it roped off, but man, I got to give her a ton of credit. She
Hey,
walked right
she's
up
standing
there.
on business.
Dude, she got them right off the
It's
logo.
like, not here, not on my watch.
It was hilarious. So credit to that lady. She showed some fire, passion, and energy by getting those guys off the logo at midfield. So Oklahoma, man, they've got Alabama's number. Kalen DeBoer wore the black hoodie of death this weekend, and that, of course, was its first loss. We talked about it with Davin on Thursday's podcast. It was 16-0 heading into that game. Now it's 16-1. Yeah, we talked about Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss beat Florida 34-24.
That was a tight one. I was kind of keeping updated.
Yeah,
the score on that in the stadium. Man, I just thinking back to last year and what happened, and all Ole Miss had. They lost to Kentucky early in the year. All they had to do was beat Florida, and they're going to the college football playoff and lose to Florida. I thought it was about to happen again, especially with all the head coaching rumors with Lane Kiffin, but he avoided it.
There you go. Ole Miss wins 34-24. And Georgia Tech escapes 1-win Boston College 36-34. It was looking pretty bleak there for a while. They were getting blown out. They come back. They win the game. Brent Key was not happy after the game. I don't know, man. I got some questions. First off, I feel like, with all this success, maybe the attention's been taken off the ball at Georgia Tech. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm trying to do some digging, but they looked really, really good. Starting to kind of fade off a little bit. The defense, suspect, Jake.
Yeah, it kind of begs the question, did Georgia Tech peak too early in the season, around week 4, 5, 6? I just don't think they're playing their best ball right now, and it's going to hurt them. But, man, they could totally turn the season around and just –
best they can.
With the win, not next week, but 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Well, they're playing Pitt this weekend. That's a big game because if they win, they're in the ACC championship game. It's a night game on the flats, top 25 matchup. Pittsburgh coming into Atlanta. So that will be a fun game to keep tabs on this weekend. But Georgia Tech squeaks out a victory over Boston College, 36-34. Cupcake week coming up in the SEC. So we will, of course, dive into a bunch of news and storylines, getting you ready for the weekend. A couple of good games outside of the SEC as well. Everything has college football playoff implications at this point of the season, Jake, and it's crazy to think only 2 weeks left of regular season ball in college.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely nuts. I'm looking at some of these at-large teams on the bubble: BYU, Vandy, Utah, Miami, Georgia Tech. And I feel like everybody's forgot about USC.
Yeah, no, they're playing Oregon this weekend, so that's a big, big game. That's where College Game Day is going. USC wins that game, they're going to be in the playoff conversation in a big way. So that's the 3:30 game on CBS with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson, which will be a great game in the Big Ten. Yes, Big Ten rivalry, of course. USC, Oregon, so dumb.
It doesn't even seem right. And then
that's where we're at. That is where we're at.
You think Tennessee has a chance to make it to the college football playoff with 3 losses?
I don't.
And there's chaos.
Carter off their team. No, there's chaos in Knoxville right now. I don't think they're going to make it to the playoff. They do have a chance if there's chaos, but that would have to be extremely chaotic. I don't think that is going to happen. But we'll break down some college football playoff scenarios for you on Thursday's episode of Punt and Pass. This episode of Punt and Pass brought to you by our awesome partners at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Check them out online, SolomonBrothers.com, at Solomon Brothers on social media. 3 amazing locations for you to go into: Buckhead, Alpharetta, and Sharpsburg. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. Win the holidays with Solomon Brothers Jewelers, SolomonBrothers.com. Remember, Humberto Injury Law is your first call when accidents happen. Don't wait. Visit HumbertoInjuryLaw.com today. Humberto Injury Law, protecting people, fighting for justice, winning results. HumbertoInjuryLaw.com. Follow us on social media at Punt and Pass on X and Instagram. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at From Jake. Jake, anything on the way out, my man?
No, man, I just want to let you know duck season's coming up. Opening day on Saturday can be pretty exciting. So maybe I'll shoot a few birds and then get over to the game. So
all right,
pretty excited about that.
I like it. Duck season gets everybody fired up. Have a great week, everybody, and we will talk to you on Thursday. See ya.